This video is my attempt at explaining a weird thing in my family referred to as the worry. Now, I'm going to preempt this by saying I could equally call this video ways in which families tell bizarre superstitions that fuck up their kids. Because I am an atheist, a skeptic. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in aliens. None of all that sort of stuff. But there's this story that is within my family that I thought I would share. Reason is that I'm prompted to do it is I had a bit of a weird experience last night where I woke up with the feeling that somebody was stood next to my bed. And then after I dismissed that and went back to sleep, I woke up a little bit later and felt like somebody had a hand pressed against my pillow. And it felt like there was a form made of like solid shadow right in front of my face. Now, I've seen enough investigations into people reporting ghosts to know that the first thing you do is check your house for carbon monoxide poisoning. And I've done that. I don't really remember eating anything out of the unusual yesterday. So for now, I'm just putting it down to I'm under quite a bit of stress at the moment and probably had some kind of weird dream. Because as I say, I don't believe in ghosts. However, I did phone my dad and told him about what had happened, and my dad, being a complete believer in anything paranormal and supernatural, suggested to me that I had had a worry. So what is the worry? Okay, so the worry is supposedly like a kind of extrasensory perception thing that is, if somebody that you care for is in trouble, that you somehow sense it. And there's a part to it that basically says if you work out who that is and contact them, and risk sounding stupid, by doing so you will prevent whatever harmful action happens to them. So it's that kind of it's ridiculous in that it seeks validation by something not happening if you warn that person, which is bizarre. Do you know what I mean? You can't, it's only if I don't phone you and something happens to you, then I've got the guilt for not warning you. But if I do warn you and nothing happens, that's supposedly proof that it worked, which is a nonsense, I know. So why would I even give it any kind of time of day at all for consideration? Goes back to when I was in university halls. Actually, maybe I'll go back a bit further than that. Maybe I'll start with how I was informed of the worry. And that started when I was, well, I believe younger than I can remember. Apparently when I was younger, I would say some weird shit, and my grandma immediately pegged it as some kind of weird psychic paranormal thing, and claimed that this was a long tradition in our family. My dad is also supposedly has the worry power, and often claims he gets visitations by people at night particularly, and he's always phoning people and checking on them on this basis. I was sat down with my gran, by my gran, sorry, when I was about 8 and given the tale and told that, like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and that if ever I had an unexplained unease or feeling, um, particularly if it felt like it was related to somebody specifically, then I was morally obligated to contact that person as quickly as I possibly could for their own safety, because I wouldn't want to have to carry the guilt of bad things happening to people if I could have helped them avoid it. So you see what I mean about this could be, this is, shit that messes with people's minds, and it's not a brilliant thing to tell an 8-year-old child that they suddenly might be a superhero, and but if somebody dies, it might be your fault. But that's the basic core of it. And so my own experience of it was back when I was at university. My mum and dad were due to come and visit me, and I was sat in my kitchen, just happily chatting away to my friends, and suddenly I felt this kind of real unease, like upsetting unease. I felt like I was going to cry immediately for no reason, and all I could think about was my mom. So I picked up my phone, gave my mum a call, and my mum answered the phone hysterical and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you've just called us. We've just been bumped off the road by a lorry. The car span around a full 360 and landed in a ditch. And thankfully, mum and dad were both fine. But she said literally the wheels were still spinning, and they were careering off the road when the phone started ringing. And as it landed, that's when she answered it in the panic and confusion, said, we're all okay, or rather we're both okay, but we need to sort this out. I'll call you back, sort of thing. And then, sort of 20 minutes later, after they'd called the police and so forth to get them out the ditch, and the RAC to get them out the ditch, the car was actually all right, and they could carry on their way, and carried on up to see me, and everybody was fine. But it's the only time it's felt like a tangible thing. Now I know, again, I'm a logical person. I knew they were on the way. It's natural to be worried about somebody who's traveling. And, it's probably just pure coincidence that, I happened to phone at that time. But it's a weird coincidence. And like I say, the reason for my call wasn't, I'll just see where they are. I had a genuine fear, like cold sweats, fear that something was wrong. And it's hard to deny that lived experience, even, with my logical approach to life. It's quite challenging, to be honest, to my, own paradigms of how the universe works. But there we go. So yeah, I'd mentioned it on Twitter and thought I would try and explain it, but that's a bit too much to try and put in a tweet. So I thought I would do it this way. And I hope that kind of explains that weirdness, how messed up families are, and is a lesson to you all not to mess your kids up with stupid superstitions. I hope you find it interesting. If you've got a similar, family thing, legacy thing, story that passes down in yours, then by all means, please share in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'll be really interested. I know this isn't my normal type of video. You know, normally I'm doing the parody, satire, silly songs, but this was just something that came up today. I hope you found it interesting. Thanks for listening.